If you love outdoors and camping trips, then Joe Robinet might be one of your favorite YouTubers. His story is quite interesting. In this video, I'll tell you how Joe's love for outdoors started, how he became a content creator and quit his job to become full-time at it. I'll also tell you his struggles and successes. So, now let's start from the beginning. Joseph Allen Robinet was born on May 19, 1984, into a Christian family in Canada. He has French and Irish ethnicity and was raised religious. He grew up in the industrial Windsor City and has a sister, Abigail. Joe was raised by a single mother, but when he was 6, she married Ron. Even though Joe grew up in the industrial city where there were very few patches of bush and no public land nearby, he and his friend used to build forts and snare rabbits in the little patch of woods in between two factories on Walker Road. Joe's mother took him on car camping a few times, and thanks to this, he fell in love with outdoors, and also, he, along with his mother, used to watch TV shows like The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams, Little House on the Prairie, and Cowboys and Injuns, and these cemented his love for nature and outdoors. At 15, Joe watched Survivorman and Ray Mears TV shows and also started reading survival books and got inspired by Les Stroud and Ray Mears and started camping in high school. Joe used to build shelters, track animals, and try to hunt rabbits with a fake bow and arrow. Also, as there weren't real forests around him, he, along with his friends, used to camp in the fields. At the time, Joe religiously followed Les Stroud, researched about him, and watched his Snowshoes and Solitude VHS, and also wrote a letter to him explaining the impact that he exerted on him and requested his suggestions to make a career in the outdoors. After a couple of months, Les wrote back to Joe. The letter had a signed autographed picture of Les and also tips and tricks to get outdoors, and Les suggested he attend the school of David Arama. At the time, Les was on a Survivorman show in Africa. Later, both of them met personally. In 2007, Joe, along with his wife, moved to Sault Ste. Marie to attend the school. While driving on Highway 17, the beauty of Lake Superior, hills, and Algoma exhilarated him. As Joe didn't know camping, and as none of his friends were into it, around 2010, he joined the Bushcraft USA forum to learn it and was impressed by its members, especially Terry Barney. Terry was offering free online bushcraft courses. Joe decided to publish YouTube videos and share them on the forum to impress the forum members, and also to fit in, prove himself, and get Terry's courses. Joe published his first video, Shelter Part 1, on March 8, 2010 on his channel, and from that point on, he continued publishing videos. YouTube acted as a catalyst for him to get outdoors, and at the time, Joe had no idea of becoming a full-time YouTuber as his channel wasn't monetized. YouTube was just a hobby for him, and he used to also publish response videos to the challenges in the forum. Joe started canoeing trips, along with Kyle, Doug, and his old boss Ken. He started learning both the outdoor activities and filming at the same time. Joe learned a lot in person from Terry, who was a certified USAF survival instructor. As Joe grew up in a city with little wilderness, the moment he started experiencing the outdoors, he went all in. Initially, as there weren't instructional outdoor YouTube videos, he learned bow drill himself and also took the help of books like Moore's Northern Bushcraft. Joe worked as a research assistant in the biology department laboratory at Great Lakes Institute for Environmental Research, University of Windsor, for 5 years, and after he got laid off from this job, he started focusing on YouTube. Later, Joe got hired as a winter survival teacher at the Sioux College, where he was required to teach winter survival online, which he didn't like, so he started focusing full-time on YouTube. Joe used to regularly publish videos on his channel, but this changed when he appeared on the Alone Season 1. Joe was required to take a hiatus of 6 months from working on his channel. This affected his channel, and he was pained to see that the channels which were previously small with less number of subscribers and views surpass his channel. But the silver lining was this made Joe determined to work harder on his channel. So, he did work hard, and his channel blew up. One of Joe's videos of overnighting bushcraft with his dog was shared on the front page of Reddit. Thanks to this, it instantly became viral, and this was his first viral video. Joe had only 30,000 subscribers when he went to Alone, and it took him 7 long years to get 100,000 subscribers, but just a year later, he exponentially grew his channel to 500,000 subscribers. Thanks to Joe working consistently, eventually, many of his videos started getting a good number of views, and he was earning twice as much with his channel than that with his university job, and this helped him to quit his job and become a full-time YouTuber. Currently, Joe has 1.55 million subscribers and earns from ads, sponsorships, and merchandise. This success enabled him to buy a couple of houses, and also, his wife was able to quit her job. Alone premiered in 2015. Later, Joe also filmed a TV show for National Geographic. After group camping many times, he did his first solo camping where he camped in a farm bush with his dog Scout near Windsor. In this trip, Joe cooked a snake and ate it along with Scout, and they stayed overnight in the camp. Later, he recreated this trip many times on YouTube, which became very popular. Now let's take a brief look at his education and career. Joe studied park operations and took a field naturalist course from Sault College in Sault Ste. Marie, where he did long winter survival courses and also learned tree identification, animal tracking, survival skills, orientation, and learned building Quincy. He also took a bushcraft course of Caleb Musgrave. Joe worked in a variety of jobs after graduating from high school. Initially, he worked at a few retail stores, followed by Tim Hortons Canadian Tire, and then he managed a couple of pet stores. Later, Joe worked at Deerhust Resort in Huntsville. His job involved planning people's excursions, leading people on guided tours and snowshoe hikes. He hated the desk job and realized that he wasn't a fit for normal jobs. At the time, his wife worked as an esthetician at the spa and resort. Then, Joe worked at Great Lakes Institute for Environmental Research, University of Windsor, as a research assistant in the biology department laboratory for 5 years, and after he got laid off, he started focusing on his YouTube channel. Joe always wanted to be a motorcycle rider and believed motorcycling to be one of the coolest things. So, in 2024, Joe got his hands on a Kawasaki KLX 300R, and on an evening, he got on his bike and started riding it in his neighborhood. Joe tried to go on a ditch and come back up, but he didn't notice big boulders underneath the grass, so he crashed the boulders and was thrown 5 feet away from his dirt bike. Luckily, Joe had his friend Mark at the home, who felt something off when Joe didn't return home after a while. So, Mark started searching him and found him lying on the ground. Joe was taken to a hospital in Sault Ste. Marie where he was assessed. The assessment showed that he had ruptured his kidney and had severe internal brain injury. He was sedated and airlifted to another hospital in Sudbury. Here, he was in coma for 3 weeks. Joe had 14 stitches inside and outside his face, and 2 days after he woke up from coma, he signed himself out of the hospital and returned home. Fortunately, his brain is functioning normally. Unfortunately, Joe's hands had nerve and ligament damage, but they are recovering fast thanks to physiotherapy and chiropractic treatments. He also did portaging and paddling, which greatly helped in the recovery of his hands. Joe also went on a trip where he caught fish, got it off the hook, cleaned, and cooked it all by himself. He also has been able to set up his tent, cut and saw wood, and make fire in his twig stove on his own. The accident killed Joe's love for the dirt bikes, so he is selling his dirt bike. Joe published the Scout Goes Camping book on June 27, 2019. He has many favorite YouTube channels like Kent Survival, Scrambled O, Coyote Works, Primal Outdoors, and Survival Lily. Now let's take a brief look at Joe's personal life. He met Wilhelmina in grade 12. At the time, they were studying in different high schools, and she was 1 year older than him. Later, they got married, and this couple has 2 daughters, Emerald and Autumn, who too are into outdoors. In 2023, Joe's younger brother Isaac passed away. Joe lives in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada. As the views on his YouTube videos have been decreasing, his plan is to produce documentary movies and release 4 documentaries per year and sell them on a website for $5 each, but the good news is he won't be quitting YouTube. Now enjoy a few tidbits about Joe. Initially, in addition to camping, he was also into skateboarding, rollerblading, and mountain biking, but only camping stood the test of time. Joe wanted to grow up to become a herpetologist and had many pets like boas, chameleons, frogs, cats, rats, and turtles. He loves canoeing and fishing, and his favorite places to paddle and trip are Wabakimi, Algonquin, and the Petawawa River. So, how are you inspired by Joe Robinet's story? Please comment below. If you are into reading, I've also written his story on my website. Find the link in this video's description. For more success stories of your favorite YouTubers, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.